Alrighty, thanks for tuning in once again. I'm Ishmael Sistrunk with the St. Louis American and STLamerican.com here today with our Rams Roundup. Today we have our host, Palmer Alexander III, St. Louis American Rams Roundup correspondent. We also have with us Ryan Coon from Draft Analyzer, a correspondent at Draft Breakdown, to talk about the St. Louis Rams. And today we're going to be talking about the quarterback situation with Nick Foles. We're going to be talking about the St. Louis Rams rookie class that's coming in, and we're also going to be talking about the upcoming OTAs. Palmer, right now you're down there at Rams Park. Tell us what's going on.
Right now, it looks like it's about to rain. Practice may wind up being held indoors, so I guess if that ends up happening, practice may get started a little later than normal. But nevertheless, we'll be able to have some things for you soon as practice lets out.
All righty, and Ryan, thank you for joining us today. Bungled it before, but you're with draftbreakdown.com, right?
Correct, yeah. I'm an analyst at Draft Breakdown. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, no problem. And so I guess I know before we got online, you guys were talking about the offensive line and how that's going to be important for the success of Nick Foles. Ryan, you know a little bit about the line situation. So what's going on? What can St. Louis Rams fans expect from the line this year? Are they going to be able to protect Nick Foles? Are they going to be able to open up running lanes for the backs? What's the story there?
And that's the big question. I mean, Jeff Fisher and Les Snead, they went into this draft and they had a plan. It was no secret. After the selection of Todd Gurley, they knew what they were going to do. They went hard and heavy on linemen, and they went hard and heavy on run maulers, on experienced run maulers who, had a lot of experience in college. They weren't looking for, rookies that could come in and have a high ceiling, but they're going to be projects for a while. They were looking for starters right away. And I feel like they have a few. I mean, they got Havenstein. That kid is a beast. He's 6'7". He's 321 pounds. If anybody has watched any tape on Melvin Gordon, you couldn't miss the guy. He was opening up holes like crazy. He's your prototypical right tackle. I think that, while he didn't get a huge buzz, if people watched him at the Senior Bowl, they know that, that was a guy that if you throw him at right tackle, and he's your right tackle for the next 10 years. The next pick, the third-round pick, in Jamon Brown was a little bit more questionable for me. Again, experienced guy out of Louisville, but he much more of he's not a great athlete, but you put him in a phone booth, he's going to run block for you. He played tackle, but they're going to move him inside. You got another pedigree school for linemen in Iowa. You got Andrew Donnell. He didn't get as much press because of the left tackle out of Iowa, Brandon Scherf. But the he's a player. He's a coach's player. He again not a great athlete, not somebody that is going to impress you in the weight room or impress you anywhere else. But on the field, his technique, he's a great player. I think that's a guy that you'll see that you might not hear about in the draft, but you'll see him playing for the Rams on Sunday. I got a couple other guys. They got Darrell Williams, an unrestricted or an unsigned free agent out of South Florida. Again, huge guy. These guys, they signed. You could see what their scheme was. They went hard and heavy on size and weight. I mean, these guys average in the 6'6", 320 pounds. They know what they're doing. They're running the football. I think Todd Gurley staying healthy is huge. The only question I have with these guys is pass protection. Sam Bradford, for all his detractors, was a pretty he could be mobile. He could move around. He could throw on the run. He seemed to do those things. Nick Foles is not that guy. He's a pocket quarterback. He is someone that if you don't protect him, you saw what happened. He had a great line 2 years ago, and he led the league in passer rating. He had some injury issues last season with the O-line. Had some blocking issues, and you saw what happened to him, and that's that's the only thing that I worry about. But I think that if they're going to run the football and that's their main goal, they got the guys to do it.
Okay, well, going back to Nick Foles and Palmer, you actually talked to Nick last week or 2 weeks ago at the Jack Buck Golf Classic. And you said that he is very confident, and that's something that surprised the writers in Philly, that he was as confident as he is going into the season. Why do you think that is? And do you think that the offensive line, because that is one of the biggest question marks for the Rams, do you think that they will be able to hold up and keep him upright so that he can be successful?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question. I think a lot of people are looking at it, and you should. This team has been held kind of almost in neutral when it comes to the offense. Being able to get the ball down the field, being able to put points on the board. And it's nice that he has that confidence, but remember, people, that they haven't played a game yet. And the Rams have a lot of size, just like Ryan just got mentioning. There's two other guys that on the roster. Stephen Baker, he's at 6'8", and there's another guy, Garrett Reynolds, at 6'8". You got size, but do they have athleticism? Can they block in space? Again, something that Ryan just mentioned about Nick Foles, he's not the most mobile quarterback, so you want these guys to be able to block up front, block consistently, and be able to hold up and give this guy time to make throws when he needs to be able to make throws. But let's not forget either that when the line did give these quarterbacks time to make throws downfield, they just never made the throws.
Now, do you think that how do you think the receiver situation will stack up? We know the Rams are really going to be focused on running. We'll talk about that in a second. But do you think the receivers will be there for him to throw downfield? We know he wants to throw downfield. We don't know if the line is going to be able to allow it, but how will these receivers evolve to be able to help out Nick Foles?
Yeah, that's another case study, Ishmael. I think you got something definitely with Kenny Britt. I mean, he averaged 15.5 yards per catch. Stephen Bailey showed some flashes of brilliance. He's slated as a number 3 guy, and then you still don't know what's going to happen with Quick, and it looks like he's not going to be ready into the first week. And again, the thing with Quick is you wonder how much he's adjusted to the league. He got off to a torrid start, but he had the unfortunate shoulder injury. Tavon Austin still an enigma, and Chris Givens, he's still hanging around. So there's still some question marks, but you do have a guy that he's looking at, and that's Kenny Britt. I mean, in that game against Philly, Nick Foles definitely took notice the way Kenny Britt was able to stretch the field and get beyond the defenders. Given the Eagles had one of the worst secondaries in the NFL, he was still getting behind them.
All right, and Ryan, you talked about how a lot of the Rams linemen, or how they drafted, was for road graders. They really want to emphasize the running game. They already had a very, very good back in Trey Mason, who came on late in the season, about halfway through, but he really made a lot of noise. Now they have drafted Gurley to come in as well, who's being, pegged as a stud in the NFL. How do you think that tandem will be able to do against NFL defenses?
And that's a great question. In this day and age, it's you don't have a lot of those bell cow running backs anymore. And you have your Marshawn Lynch's, and you have your guys that will run that ball 25 times a game, but you're seeing that less and less. So it can't. I mean, they have a plethora of riches at running back. I can't hurt. With Jeff Fisher, like I said, he went into this draft having a plan. He finally was able to focus just on that offensive line, and he found his player in Todd Gurley. That's who he's wanted. He's wanted another Eddie George. He's wanted that since Eddie George hung it up. And I think he's got him in Todd Gurley. If Todd Gurley can, in rehab, and from everything that I've read, the surgery was extremely successful. Dr. James Andrews did the surgery. He's renowned for ACLs, and he stated that he should be better than ever. So that's he based his reputation on it. So if Todd Gurley can hit those holes and be the player he was in college, I think you're going to see him. It's going to be maybe a 70-30 split, maybe 80-20. But Todd Gurley's your future at running back. The Rams have invested highly in him, and Trey Mason, he's a good counterpart. He's a home run hitter in his own right. He runs hard. He's got yards after contact are good. So I mean, you can't hurt to have too many. Unfortunately, Zach Stacy great guy around the community, great guy, and I've met him, great guy in general. Just that he needed to go somewhere else because he has the ability to start too. We had a plethora of really, really good running backs. But I think you're going to see, hopefully with Signetti, you're going to see them utilize, Tavon in a different way. And you're going to see quick throws, you're going to see the running game, and you're going to see some more, it's going to be, you're going to see a lot of your 16-14 games, your 17-13, your 10-7s, but that's what that's what Jeff Fisher has built. Jeff Fisher has built. That's what he wants. That's what he's always has been. You're not going to get your offense isn't going to be the top 5 in the league, but you're going to have a grinded out defense. You're going to be in top 10 in defense, and you're going to win some ball games. I'm excited about this new group. I really am.
Now, well, here's my question with Gurley. We know he had the surgery. It was successful, and we've been seeing over the past few years, we started to see running backs come back a lot sooner than they used to from that type of injury. But if he is the future of the team, do you think that maybe they should sit him and rest him for as long as needed, maybe even sit him for the season, if you just want to protect and make sure he's back at 100%? Or do you think that, their approach with just waiting and saying, he may miss 4 to 6 games, I guess is a projection that I've been hearing. Do you think that's appropriate, or do you think they should be more cautious just to make sure that they get the most bang out of their buck for that first-round pick?
And that's another good question. And I've read reports that that have said he could be ready by first or second week in the season. I've read reports that he may be put on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list, and miss the first chunk of the season. I think they're going to wait and see. I don't think they're going to sit him the whole season. You're going to see Todd Gurley running the football for the Rams in 2015. It's just a matter of when. The best part about it is you have a competent starter while you're waiting. So while you're waiting for Gurley to get healthy, you have Trey Mason, who did nothing but perform when he played last season. So they're not going to rush him back. He's the future. And Jeff Fisher, for as lucky as he is, I mean, he has gone through some seasons where he doesn't ever seem to be on the hot seat. How many other coaches went 3 seasons without a winning season and aren't worried about the beginning of 2015? He doesn't seem like he's worried about that. He's worried about the future. So. They're going to rest him until he's ready, but you'll see him this season. He'll be running the football for the Rams in 2015.
Yeah, and I think part of that is, sadly the Rams have been so bad historically that Jeff Fisher still provides hope. If you win 7 games, they're like, oh man, we're right there because we're used to winning 3 or 4 games each season. All right, Palmer, again, you're out there at Rams Park right now. The Rams are starting up with OTAs. What's going on with that? What's going on? I know you said practice may be canceled today, but what's going on with the Rams practice situation?
Well, they're more than likely hold it indoors, and I'm sure the skies are darkening right now as we speak. So I'm gonna be actually making my way down towards the practice facility and watch some of these guys. But hey, listen, it's a lot of interesting ways that this thing could go. I'm smiling. I was thinking about what Ryan was saying, and then I had a response, and then I realized where I'm at. So I don't want to fall victim of some friendly fires or have one of those trap doors open up and there's a pit of alligators waiting on me.
But Palmer, that makes for good TV. We could get like 1 million views off you getting beat up by like a Rams player right now.
There's already a video surface of Rampage taking my microphone at the last celebrity softball game, man. So I want that to happen 2 times in a row. But just getting back to what Ryan was saying, hitting on the execution part of the offense kind of gets overlooked too, and it always seems, not always seems, but this team is built off the defense. They live, eat, drink, sleep off the defense. The defense got off to a slow start last year, and you look at how things kind of transpired. It wasn't like almost until the middle of the season when they kind of start to hit their stride. I think they went 6 weeks without a sack. So this team is still. The heart and soul of this team is still the defense. Yeah, he wants to run the football, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're getting behind, can you be able to make those points up fast enough? Because we have to look at that other side of the equation. You know, you can't just say we're going to run. Okay, what if you get behind? Because that's a big thing, and the Rams is not a team that built the points up behind.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting to see. You know, I was excited when they announced the trade for Nick Foles. I think he is definitely better than Sam Bradford. You know, and Bradford has been. Excuse me. So, hopefully the wide receivers will be able to get together, get their game together, because there are definitely question marks there, and the offensive line will allow him to stretch the field and do some different things. So I think with Sam Bradford, we just knew what we were going to get. He wasn't a terrible quarterback, but I always say he was just average, and he was always hurt, so that made it worse. So Nick Foles has some injury history of his own, so hopefully he'll be able to stay upright. But I'm looking forward to. But like you said, Palmer, it's almost like now. You know, we've mainly been talking about the offense, but I think now everybody pretty much just assumes the defense is going to be really good. Like, we don't even really need to talk about that. There's some questions with the secondary, but overall, people are like, the defense is good. We're solid there. We don't have to worry about that. We just set that over to the side, and let's figure out what the offense can do. So hopefully the defense will live up to how they've been billed. I was listening to the radio a few days ago, and they were asking, you know, could they be as great as some of these, you know, great defenses in the past, the Ravens or the Buccaneers when they were really good? So just the fact that you're having those conversations mean that they should be really good. The big questions are going to be on offense. So I guess we'll find out. Young linemen do worry me a little bit. So the fact that we have a lot of these young linemen that are going to be expected to contribute, that does give me cause for concern. But if the Rams are able to be a run-heavy offense like they plan, then that should alleviate some of those issues. So either one of you guys, we don't want to keep you for too long, but either one of you have any other topics that you want to hit on before we sign off?
I got nothing over here. I feel like we talked about what we needed to on the offensive line.
Yeah,
alrighty, so
actually, we get ready to get started anyway out here.
Okay, well, Ryan, if people want to follow you, if they want to read your work, if they want to follow you on social media, where can they do that at?
I'm on Twitter. I'm at Ryan_C_Coon. That's my handle on Twitter. Breakdown.com, draftbreakdown.com. I write there. It's an excellent website for, you know, watching these up-and-coming players who are going to be drafted next year. So come check it out.
All right, we'll make sure we do that. Palmer, everybody knows how to contact you. People are trying to get away from you, actually, right now. So, but Ryan, we appreciate you for joining us this week. We will link your website as well as your social media at the bottom of this video. Palmer, I hear things happening out there at Rams Park. We don't want to get you in trouble, so we'll go ahead and sign off. Thanks for tuning in again this week for the Rams Roundup. Make sure you subscribe and check us back this week. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. Thanks for joining.